Hey y'all, do you know what made Noah the most successful business investor? When everything was liquidated, he was able to keep his stock afloat. Ah, there's nothing like lame jokes. And power ties. Look at this bad boy. I never get to wear ties for anything, so I will literally look for any excuse, and I figured this was good enough one. So I hope you appreciate this, all this effort and production quality that's happening. Okay, 5 more tips to save money. First one, learn to cook. Okay? Um, this, my wife's laughing. I don't know why. I think it's a great tip. Um, Lots of people I've discovered don't know how to cook, and I learned to cook from a very young age. My parents taught me to cook when I was really young. But learn to cook, and there's lots of different ways to go about this. There's a lot of services out there like HelloFresh and Blue Apron. There's some other ones where they kind of send you prepackaged meals, and you follow the instructions and stuff, and that's good. But I feel like one, it seems a little expensive. I don't know that you're necessarily going to save much money to begin with. But they also send you what are fairly complex meals in a sense. Um, and I don't necessarily see that it's a lot of like staple based food. Um, so my recommendation would be make the cooking channel and the Food Network a part of your life. Find YouTubers that teach you how to cook that do real basic meals, and just spend some time learning to cook because what happens is I think some people get kind of burned out on their food abilities or what they have available to them, and we end up eating out a lot, and that adds up so quick. So learn to cook. Number two, and this is a kind of a different take on saving money, but and my dad does this, and I have a couple other friends that do this. Is when they break large bills, like 20s or 50s or even tens, they'll take all the change, maybe the ones, the fives, and the quarters, and loose change and all that, and just chuck it in a jar. And just every time you do that, if you get a couple 20s at the beginning of the week, and then you break them here or there, you take all the ones and the fives and the change, and you just stick it in a jar. And my dad just said at the end of last year, 2021, he had almost $1,000 in that jar, and it's just kind of it's a semi passive way of just sort of socking money away, so that you have a little bit more in your savings. We have another friend that does this, and she ends up with a little over $2,000 each year, just by any time she breaks a bill. So it's a little bit of a kind of a mental trick. It's not quite being super intentional with your money, but maybe it's a good way to start saving. Number three, buy things secondhand. Um, Used products, used clothes can be very good quality, and it just takes a little bit of learning what's out there, and just understanding where to go to look for these things. There's always places like Goodwill, Salvation Army. We have AmVets around here. You might not have that, but you might have another store. But then there's also stores like Ross, Burlington Coat Factory, TJ Maxx. These aren't just clothing stores, they sell household products, and a lot of the time they're designer level products that have minor imperfections. I have seen very expensive Calvin Klein winter jackets at places like Burlington Coat Factory for 10 to 20% of manufacturer's retail price. So it's a $400-$500 jacket that is $40, $50, $60, and they're incredibly comfortable. They're incredibly warm. You can find boots that Justin brand boots, Georgia brand boots, Chippewas at some of these places that are like $200-$300 boots for $50, and it's because there's a couple stitches that didn't seat quite as good as they needed to meet the manufacturer's requirements. So buy things secondhand or buy things from off-brand retailers like this. Um, you don't need to buy everything new, okay? Especially if you're broke, especially if you're trying to get out of debt. It's a really good option. We hardly have anything in our house, I think, that's new. Save for maybe a few appliances, but we love getting deals on stuff, so look around for deals, buy things secondhand. Number 4, again, not specifically a money tip, but again, finances goes back to being intentional. Finances goes back to wisdom and overall health in your life. So number 4 is exercise or do things to stay in shape. Something as simple as going for a 15 or 20-minute walk each day could do wonders for your physical health, which could do amazing things for your mental health. And when you have good mental health, it's easier to make wise decisions. It's easier to make meaningful decisions. Our whole family, we get hangry. We know that if we're going to do anything emotionally taxing, or even if we're just going grocery shopping, we will eat before we go. If we have a long day ahead of us, we get lots of food and take lots of food with us and stop for food because we get hangry. So making good decisions goes back to good mental health, and sometimes good mental health goes back to good physical health. So exercise, weightlift a couple times a week, go for a walk 10-15 minutes a day. Make it a part of your routine. If you have a break or a lunch, maybe you have an hour-long lunch and it only takes you a half hour to eat, maybe you can go for a 20-minute walk. So do things to stay in shape. Yeah, mental health is important. Tip number 5, and this is again kind of just a different kind of tip. This was recommended to me by a friend. She uses different bank accounts for all of her savings. So maybe you're saving to buy a new car, and that's really a big priority for you. Maybe go open a savings account at a different bank that you don't normally use, and every month you can go put $100-200 in that account. What this does is it makes your money harder to get to, and that's kind of the trick here. Is if you just carry around hundreds of dollars of cash with you all the time, you're much more likely to spend it than if to buy your coffee each day you had to go to the bank and take out $5. That would probably deter you from doing it so much. So maybe using some different banks, different accounts, saving money in a jar, like I talked about in tip number 2. I had a roommate several years ago who every time he got paid, he would get a brick of pennies from the bank. Like, you can get a brick of pennies, and I want to say it's $25 per brick. And every time he would get paid, every 2 weeks, he would stick one of those in the bottom of his closet, and he ended up with like $400 or $500 of bricks of pennies. And his reasoning was it's really hard to spend bricks of pennies. If you need to go grocery shopping and it's going to cost you $200 to lug around 200 pounds of pennies, it was really difficult. So there's lots of creative ways to do this. Having different bank accounts that make your money harder to get to could be one of them. So 5 more tips of how to save money. Just in reviewing, 1 is learn to cook. Can save you a lot from eating out. Or 2 is saving your change or your dollar bills when you break larger bills. Number 3 would be buy things secondhand. You can find really good quality stuff at good prices out there. You just have to learn where to look. Number 4 is exercise. Improving your physical health to improve your mental health, so it's easier to make good decisions. And did I say number 5 twice? Number 5 would be use different bank accounts or different ways of saving your money that make it harder to spend your money. Bricks of pennies for the win. Thanks for sticking around, y'all. Lots more videos to come. Gonna go back to investing a little bit and talk about some different things. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell to make sure that you see all of my wonderful videos with my fabulous jokes, because I know you love them. I have more ties than the ones you've already seen, so we'll bring you more ties. I have more cups, and I have more sweet sound effects. Thanks, y'all. See you later.